Hello and welcome to the KSW Painting UV8 SuperCar Series live on Apex Racing TV. I'm Sam Fitzpatrick and alongside me this evening is Marco Barbonet, and the venue for today's three races is Sonoma Raceway, the Cup layout, a circuit marker that we don't visit too much on Apex Racing TV. However, for me personally, I do much enjoy this circuit. Maybe not the Cup layout quite so much as the full one, but the Cup layout, of course, used in NASCAR along with several other events, something like 300 events held here per year at Sonoma. And I think it will be a very good challenge for these drivers. Apparently, it's a very good combination of car and circuit, this.
Absolutely, and of course this is my favorite version of Sonoma, because why would this be different? The easier and by far the more straightforward, and I think we're in for a fantastic night of racing, a triple header that as per usual brings in a lot of chaos, and as qualifying is running down, a quick rundown of the standings with Tony Klusterman the leader of the championship in front of Chris Jackson by 10 points and 12 points over Nicole Foggy. Then it's Richard Wormingham and Johnny Brandon. Michael F. Douglas in 6th. Then Arl Stedler, Nicolai Bocataire, Anthony Woodward, and Greg Carr at the top 10. Of course, these are results not counting the drop scores, which are going to be, of course, counted towards the end of the season. By the way, next time around, a double header at Bathurst, and in 1 month time, it's almost time, Sam, for the Enduro in Charlotte road course, which is going to be great. And of course the club championship. Gary Croft is still the leader in front of Clyde Whiting by quite a big margin, around 348 points. Michael Frost is in 3rd, and then we have Sam Buzin and Peter Bingham with 3 drivers still without a score. Brenton O'Brien, Dominic Soiree and Katie Rostaranto. The drivers are getting ready to finish their qualifying. We have a couple of new names, and another name that as per usual doesn't want to show up on the overlay. That's Philip Antonia, who I'm going to take care of him straight away. And I think that yes, I mean, for those that don't know the way the triple header works, we are going to have a straightforward qualifying, which we are in the middle of. Sorry, in the middle. I wish we were in the middle. We are towards the end of qualifying, and this will set up the starting grid for race 1. Then we will have, race 1, a random reverse for race 2, and the results of race 2 will determine, of course, the starting grid for a full reverse in race 3. So it's going to be important to stay at the front, I think, to avoid the chaos, but the chaos is going to be inevitable, especially if you do well, because if you don't get a big reverse in race 2, you certainly get one in race 3. And speaking of starting grid, Sam, here we go with the starting grid for race 1.
Yes, and it's Johnny Brandon. After a couple of disappointing rounds from his perspective, he's on pole position ahead of his teammate Nicole Foggy. George McClay starts in 3rd position alongside Tony Klusman. On the 3rd row of the grid is Abdoka and Stadler. Then behind that is Warmingham, Broft, Clement. Good to see Miguel out there for the first time. Anthony Woodward rounding out the top 10 there. It's Nicolai Bogatayev, Ben Gregory, Raul Ruiz Pulido, Philip Antonia, Clyde Whiting, Samuel Bizan, Katie Rostranta, good to see her back, Michael Frost, Andrew Hoffman, and Bill Switzer rounding out this 20 car build. Hopefully Switzer will take the start. He didn't set a qualifying time, unfortunately, but hopefully we will see him on the grid for this opening race of the evening. And of course, an important race this for Brandon, I think, Marco. He's lacking in the overall points. Slightly better for him with the drop scores, but after a couple of disappointing rounds, he really needs to try to bounce back against his formidable teammates.
He really needs to do that, and I think that this track is, of course, and this format always tricky, especially. I mean, look at how, maybe we can get another shot from higher up. Look at how narrow the track is. Well, time for that thought later, because we are ready to go.
Yep, here we are. Johnny Brandon on pole position. And away we go at Sonoma. Great start for Foggy. Is he going to be able to challenge going into turn 1? Such a short run. And Brandon should hold on initially here. Any moves just behind, side by side for third position between Kloosman and McClay. And Kloosman, in fact, getting ahead of McClay. But
Oh,
now there's contact.
Klosterman!
And they could cause some damage to one another. Kloosman just about pulls ahead as they go up the hill for the first time. Moving ahead into third position is Policeman. A great start for the Never Quit Racing driver. Warningham getting ahead of Stadler. Woodward with a bit of a poor start. He's falling down the field straight away. But that's not a bad start for the drivers up there. Policeman will be very thankful that he's gone from a half spin into a position gain.
Yes, and I think already we can see some damage on the front left of George McClay's car as they go through 8A and 8. Very weird corner names around here. There are numbers. Tony Klusterman is sideways once again as we go to the super tricky final corner, which we're about to see right now. Of course, we take it, you know, a little bit. Oh well, no, this is the normal hairpin, yes. But those tire barriers there, those tire, I don't know how to call them. Let's say that they are very hard, so you don't want to hit them. Of course, I remember a few months ago, last season in the BSR TC, our very own Alex Simpson getting stuck on
Yes.
top of one of those. We were commentating that race together, Sam, if I remember correctly.
Yes, I think I remember that one. Good times in BSR to see, of course, that championship back going on a Thursday evening. Nico Foggy, I don't believe, taking part in it. Of course, third place last season as just
Did he
clips
clip the wall?
there.
Yeah, he
yeah,
clipped the
that
wall.
might be on our end though, so just hesitate there about that one. Of course, very marginal as we see Buzan versus Gregory. So they both got ahead of Woodward, who had the worst start there. Antonio with a great start. He gained 4 positions. This was how Frost had an issue. I think that is with Gregory. And a couple of cars having to spread out there to try to avoid him. So Frost back to the pits, in fact, in 19th position. Bill Switzer, in the end, did not take the race start. Top 2 then, 2 seconds clear of Tony Kloosman out in the lead. At Zolder, we saw Foggy with a bit more race pace than Brandon. He was able to close about a 2-second lead to eventually passing his teammate in race 1 before executing the double in the feature race just that little bit later. Never have we seen on Apex Racing TV a driver do the triple in this series, so certainly do not count on either of these drivers dominating today. But Foggy certainly looking very good for a race 1 victory at the moment with the way he's hounding his teammates currently. Behind that is Klosterman holding off McClay pretty easily at the moment. Got Bogatire versus Buzan, potentially quite a close battle down there, but pretty much no side-by-side action. And that's just due to the lack of straights around here, Mark. There is just no place to really stretch your legs.
Yes, and this of course will come into play later in the reverse grid races. We have had some disappointing reverses throughout the season, but like I said, in race 3 we are guaranteed to have a full reverse. Let's see what will happen in race 2. Brandon locking up a couple of times there, and I think that the damage on Foggy's end was on our hand. I think the damage has popped back into a normal condition, and that is correct. But in the meantime, Johnny Brandon gets the fastest lap of the race, taking it away from his teammate. Tony Klusterman is 2.5 seconds back from this duo here. And we have also in the back, yes, Sam Buzin and Ben Gregory. You know what's the difference, I think, between this track and you know, maybe where we were earlier in Zolder, is that here you have a big passing opportunity. And that's the hairpin there. I mean, you really have to send the car, because it's not that big of a straight that you have from the 8A and 8 corner to there, the chicanes. But still, it can be done, I think. Let's go on board with Nicole Foggy and see how long the run-up they have to brake to get into here. And then, yeah, it's not that big of a run-up to this particular chicane, even though, as you can see, Brandon is a bit struggling every time we go through this corner. And going very close to those tire barriers on the inside.
All close between Bogatire and Buzan, so a change of position. This for of 11th place. Oh, and off!
Ben
In the
Gregory.
background goes Gregory, and he's going to lose a lot of positions there. Not too much damage, I think, accumulated for the Fitstyle Motorsport driver, but he has tumbled down the field right there from a decent position, I believe 13th it was.
That
George
was strange.
Brandon.
We were looking at the battle in front of him, maybe got a bit distracted, missed his braking marker there. Because his car snapped under braking. Oh, it was too hot in that corner, I think. He tried to brake too much then to, avoid any collision. And I'm sorry for you, but he has some damage, Sam. You have to pay for that bonnet that's missing on that car, I think.
Oh, you must be all out of expenses with the way that some of your teammates drive, so...
No. I have no team anymore. I sold everything.
Oh, but I imagine you're in big debt, basically,
Yes,
still.
that's the problem. Yeah, I paid for my debts with the win, money for the race win at Sebring in the 12 hours, and so
Yes.
that's why I'm not racing anymore. By the way, Johnny Brandon all of a sudden pulling away from Nicole Foggy, 0.8 of a second right now. Let's go with George McClay, he's really putting Tony Klusterman under pressure for the podium, and has his teammate Michael Evdoka right behind him. Tony not feeling, I mean, of course being in third is quite a good result, but maybe not feeling, 100% at ease with this car track combination.
Yeah, maybe Never Quit Racing not quite nailing the setup today. Of course, no Chris Jackson out there, usually a formidable force out there. But just Tony representing the Never Quit Racing North America team. At least, of course, we have got Woodward and Co representing the rest of the world squad. And McClay really closing up that gap. He wasn't putting up too much pressure earlier on, but with the way that Klusman drives, notoriously aggressive with his driving style, might affect him later on in this race as McClay all over the shop. Is he going to make contact here with Klusman? Just about gets it stopped. And that was pretty impressive there from McClay, because initially there he was really out of shape trying to put Klusman off, and he put himself off in the end. Evdoka just waiting behind at the moment. And that's who he'll be looking for a move if his teammate can't get the move done anytime soon. Relatively cool track temperature out there today, only 27 degrees. Expect that to climb later on as the time of day, I believe, will progress. Only 9 in the morning currently. This circuit can often get absolutely baked. You can see by the scenery around. This is a kind of a circuit in the middle of the desert, I believe. I don't even know what state this is in, actually, as I frantically look. Is
Northern
Samuel
California. We are in Northern
California.
California.
Okay.
Northern California, which is... it doesn't seem like, because, we are used to our... as we have Woodward going on the inside of Busing completing the pass. But California is quite big, and there's a very, very big difference between, Northern California and Southern California. Also a big interstate rivalry between the two parts of the state.
Yes, yes.
And
Quite different, aren't they, in terms of culture as well?
Yes, and also
economics as well.
Very famous this area for their wines, which I'm told are almost as good as the ones we have in Italy. I never tried them, but I tend to believe them, because in some places, not here of course, but some places in Northern California I've been told really remind of the scenery in Tuscany and similar regions in Italy known for their great wine. I know you couldn't do with my useless facts for today. I managed to sneak that in without notice. And Tony Klusterman, I mean, he's all over the place right now. Really struggling and forming quite a train, because I think also Richard Wormingham is about to join the party. As we go back to the front with half of the race left, as they go through the start-finish line one more time with Johnny Brandon and Nicole Foggy once again very close. Let's go to George McClay. Always a bit sideways the Texans Fitstyle Motorsport cars around this corner. One of them sadly already went into the wall. McClay at a little, I wouldn't call that a half send, a quarter of a send there, because he wasn't really that aggressive. And now,
18.
yeah, under
Sorry,
pressure from Udoka.
Yeah, just 18 laps in this first race. We are nearly halfway on lap 9. Of course, we have seen this season the races ever so slightly longer than they were back in season 5. I have got that right, haven't I? This is
Yes.
season 6. Yes, awesome. We lose count very easily, remarkably. It's very easy to forget how many series we've had of these various championships. Of course, 2 per year in the Euro V8 SuperCar series. And yeah, going about very well this series, certainly. Klusman, a little bit offline here. Is that going to compromise his exit? Little bit wide. Will McClay go for the move this time? Not quite gonna go for it. Almost contact between the two of them. Klusman gives him space. That was nice driving from the Canadian. And McClay's going to be stuck on the outside. Will he go for the cutback hit into turn 1? Decides to keep it round the outside. Didn't want to lose the momentum by lifting off. But he is getting closer and closer. Still got to see how he could get any closer than this without properly going for the move. Evdoka just waiting behind. Is he going to start asking for his teammate to let him go? Feels as though he has a better opportunity at moving up into the podium positions. Because Richard Warmingham is still staying relatively close. These guys just behind us.
Tony!
Klusman with a big mistake. Will he be able to hang on to this position? Massive error from his part. Round the outside goes McClay. He's going to have the ideal line. McClay on the curve. Almost contact again. Almost Klusman spinning it again. But wow. After 2 half spins, he is somehow still in 3rd position, Marco.
And by my calculations, that will be, I think, the 4th or 5th sideways moment from Tony since the beginning of the race. So something must be not 100% on his car. Maybe something wrong with the setup, because I mean, I have no idea how he's still sitting in 3rd place after that crazy moment there. And once again, another lap starts and another car has joined the train. Now Richard Warmingham officially in this battle for the podium spots. And let's see, because Tony is really all over the shop, and it's something that we don't see very often from him. Usually a very you know, composed driver, a bit aggressive, but always on point, because he knows that if you overheat the tires, it's over with this car.
Absolutely. Of course, that effect was halved, I believe, a couple of seasons ago, but it is still quite significant. The track temperature is rising ever so slightly. It's gone from about 26 degrees to 28 degrees. Of course, as Michael was saying, ever so affected by the temperature are these cars. Maybe that's paying Klusman off ever so slightly. He's got a little bit of a chain behind him at the moment. The Tony chain. I feel that it's a decent pun. As almost sideways, using a bit like a motorbike drive almost, is McClay sliding the car into the apex, using a bit of trail braking. He is ever so close to the back of Klusman, almost worth going for a bit of a surprise move, and that's what he's going to try to do, going offline. But you can see that once you do that, you're slightly tight into the next one, and it just compromises your momentum, and all of a sudden you can't go for a move over the next few corners. Hal Stadler struggling to get involved in this one. He's 3 seconds behind, but if these guys start fighting a bit more than they are, then this is going to turn into a 5-way battle potentially.
In front of the field, gap is around 0.5 of a second between Brandon and Foggy. I know that if I move away from this battle, they will pass each other. I mean, if I move to Johnny Brandon and Nicole Foggy, there will be a move here in this battle for 3rd place. But of course, if the situation gets even closer there at the front, we will go there as I think maybe it's easy to say it from here. I would let Michael Evdoka by and see if he's able to get past Tony Klusterman, because you know, if one guy gets past Tony, then he maybe has to compromise a couple of corners, and then another guy can go through. That being, of course, McClay, if he lets Evdoka by. Andrew Hoffman having some issues and is stopped at the side of the road. Also, I think we had an issue. No more issues on the track right now. As you can see, McLeay is so close to the back of Tony Kloosterman. He might even think about a little bit of a tap, just to let him know he's there.
Yes, perhaps so. Or Kloosterman a little bit wide again. Of course, this very much an American circuit. I don't believe there's any international series which visit here, so the track limits, well, there are none. These drivers can exceed them as much as they like. I was watching the IndyCar from Circuit of the Americas, and it is remarkable how they go through the penultimate corner there, and they just go miles off the circuit. It's almost better than the F1 system, because at least it does actually look like a proper corner rather than, well, it's a horrendous corner anyway, but it's probably slightly better in IndyCar than it is in F1. But yeah, these drivers can exceed track limits as much as they like. Have got to make sure they don't pick up a slowdown though at that final corner. Or sorry, at that final hairpin more like. 16 minutes into this race, we've got 4 more laps to go after this one. And every lap that ticks past, it's looking better and better for Tony Kloosterman, holding on to that 3rd position. Still Branton leading by 1¼ seconds over his teammate Nico Foggy. He just put in a slightly slower lap time. They're 10 seconds clear of this pack. Warringham starting to lose a little bit of time to the 3 of these guys. But I'm sure with the way that we've seen overtaking struggling in this race 1, I think race 2 and race 3 are going to be absolutely exceptional at this rate, Marco.
Yeah, right now we have 17 drivers on the lead lap or 1 lap down, which means that 17 as of this moment will be the maximum number of drivers eligible for the reverse, as we get once again into the hairpin, riding on board with Michael Evdoka, and once again a strange line from McLeay, because yes, he hugs the apex in the beginning of the corner, but after that he is really, you know, a little bit compromised when it comes to the corner exit. By the way, we had a move for P13 with Ben Gregory passing Katie Rose Tarrant, who was having a little bit of a moment there, and without the front end of his car, but still P13 staying on the lead lap. That is what is important, I think. Let's go for a bit of a ride with the leader, who lost half a second all of a sudden. He was 1.5 seconds ahead of Foggy just a few seconds ago, and as I switched, the gap went down to 0.7, now 0.6.
It's really been ebbing and flowing, this gap, of course. And of course, what you got to remember also is that if these drivers can complete the race without after picking up no incident points, then they get 10 bonus points. And you think the difference between 1st and 2nd is only 5 points. So it's almost better to finish 2nd and keeping getting no incidents than it is winning the race and getting no incidents. So it's worth keeping in mind. Of course, this circuit, not really any advantage going off the circuit. You can't really gain an advantage by using the any of the off tracks around here. All the tarmac off tracks, of course, as we've already talked about, you will get no penalty for. And so, yeah, I think both of these XVR drivers have probably kept it as clean as they possibly could. Potentially Kloosterman could be in a bit of a danger with the way that he's been driving out there. But as we head into final couple of laps, looking very good right now for Johnny Brandon to get his first win for a while. Only his 3rd race win of the season. Believe he got something like 6 last season en route to the title. About 7 victories the season before that, despite losing out to Michael Evdoka. But certainly giving himself a much better chance and will be closing the gap to his teammate Nicole Foggy. Still McLeay in the hunt for the championship. But he really liked these extra 5 points by getting past Tony Kloosterman. And, well, you can't count him out at the moment, Marco, but you just feel as though George has probably run out of ideas in order to get past the Canadian.
Yes, you were talking about the importance of the bonus point in a championship as tight as this one, as we are having this season, which is incredibly tight, even for the standards of this championship, as Aaron Stedler is in the wall and missing an important part of his race car. I think that the thoughts you were having about the getting a clean race are absolutely right and very important. And I think that Nicole Fogg just lost maybe his chances at getting those bonus points. Let's see. I think he
Ooh,
did, you
yep.
know.
Pushing hard then, clearly. Surprised that he wanted that first place so much because, picking up that instant point, that's potentially cost him 10 points. And even if he'd made the move, would have only gained 5 points. So unusual to see Nicole make a mistake like that. This could be a 15-point swing in favour of Johnny Granton. Of course, relatively small in terms of the thousands of points that these drivers will accumulate, but you just cannot count anyone out of this championship at this point. We're on the last lap of the race, race 1 here at Sonoma. And it's still looking very good for the two XVR drivers. They are 11 seconds clear of this pack. Still, McClay will push, but you feel as though with the fact that he's probably going to finish higher up on the grid. Starts higher up on the grid for race 2. If he finishes behind Benny Klusman, he will be quite happy to stay behind at this point. But out in the lead, Johnny Brandon's only a couple of corners away. This is going to be the perfect way to bounce back after a mare at Nürburgring not being able to take part and picking up a mistake last time out at Zolder. Johnny Brandon is going to approach the line here at Sonoma, and he will win race 1 in the super sprints. And that is a big win for the XVR driver. His teammate Nicole Foggy finishes in second position. What's going to happen behind Klusman? Great defensive drive from him. We've seen his resilience to attacking drivers behind really improved this season, and he scores more solid points. He's starting to turn into a much more consistent driver, is Tony Klusman. Miguel Clements, what a debut performance this is going to be for him. Fantastic 8th position. We didn't really pay too much attention to it, but he got past Hal Stadler in those closing stages after Stadler's mistake, and that's a very good effort from him. Guy Croft was the top club driver in 7th position overall. Great effort from him. Clyde Whiting will be second in that category, and we will just wait for the other drivers to cross the line. But Margaret wasn't necessarily the most exhilarating race of all time. It was a lot of tension, I imagine, particularly for Tony Klusman and Johnny Brandon to hold on to their respective leads. But I'm sure race 2 and race 3, with the difficulty of overtaking, it's going to be really fascinating to see if what these quick drivers can do from near the back of the field.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why we love the super sprint races, and that's why they are always held in these very small club-like, more or less, racetracks, as everyone goes through the start-finish line. And so I think we can go through the official results for race 1.
Yeah, so it's Johnny Brandon winning out here ahead of his teammate Nicole Foggy by 2 seconds in the end. 10 seconds further back was Tony Klusman, but he'll still be happy with that podium from after starting in 4th place. George McClay finished in 4th with Michael Dockett in 5th, Richard Warmingham in 6th. Top club driver was Gary Croft in 7th with Miguel Clements on his debut, a fantastic 8th place, just holding off Hal Stadler in 9th. Philip Antonian, nice 4 places gained for him in 10th with Anthony Woodward in 11th. Then behind that is Clyde Whiting, Benjamin Gregory, Katie Reyes Trento, Samuel Buzan, Nikolai Bogotayev, Michael Frost, Raul Ruiz Pulido, Andrew Hoffman, and Bill Switzer did not take the start. So, Marco, best points of the evening, it is the reverse grid wheel.
Yes, the only one of the night, of course, because the other is a full reverse, but a reverse wheel nonetheless. And as you can see on the screen, we have 16 drivers. I'm sorry, because you have to be on the lead lap to be eligible in this series. So, from Johnny Brandon to Nikolai Bogatairev, who crucially finished on the lead lap. And so, let's roll it.
We've had remarkably small grids so far. What is this one going to be?
It is going to be 7.
Another one.
It was just about to dip into 12, and as you can see maybe on the live stream, because poor Sam cannot see no one apart from the streamer of the guys on the camera can see the reverse wheel in lifetime. So it's a surprise for Sam as well, and the needle just stopped on the middle between 7 and 12, but it's sadly quite clearly 7. I mean, not sadly for very, very good for Gary Croft, who is going to start from pole position, of course. And also, no one saw the reverse wheel because I forgot to put it on the screen. But there it is. There it is. Yeah.
You can lie like that, Mark, if everyone knows that Gary's given you a very generous tip for that. But there you go. No one really realised that we just type in a number, of course, for whoever the highest bidder is. It always lands on that. So Gary Croft, the winner there, even though you would have known it was going to happen anyway. So he'll be in pole position. I feel horrendous for Miguel Clement. His debut race. And after a great 8th position, he will only be starting in 8th place for race 2, but maybe will be good for race 3. And also Hal Stadler, who was running in 7th position for much of that race with a mistake. He'll be ruining that now. So race 2 will be coming up for you in about 25 minutes time. Race 2 here at Sonoma.
Growing up as a kid in Oklahoma, where I'm from, the Chili Bowl is the biggest race that we have. The Chili Bowl has kind of been my favorite race of the year. Growing up a dirt racer in Oklahoma, that's kind of the holy grail.
coming for a splash. Three, two, one, now. All clear. Punch it. Great job. You did really well.
Welcome back to the KSW Painting UV8 SuperCar series live on Apex Racing TV. Once again, I'm Sam Fitzpatrick, and once again alongside me is Marco Barbner. And we're just prepping right now for race 2 of the evening. And Marco, after a 7-car reverse, I think that's still going to provide us a lots of action packs. All the I'd say race-winning contention drivers are in that top 7. And with the difficulty of overtaking we saw in race 1, it's going to be fascinating to see if the top 2 in race 1, Johnny Brandon and Nico Foggy, can make their way up to the front once again.
Yes, and the weather is really tricky for this one. As you can see right now, wind 19 kilometers per hour and track temperature up in the 48 Celsius, I think around 120 Fahrenheit. So these drivers will have to contend with a very hot and slippery track surface. You know, mix that with the way this car handles. And that's something that Tony Klusterman told us in the pre-race briefing about the possibility of having extreme weather in the second race, and that became reality. So at least now in the warm-up the situation is like this. Let's see if when the session switches over we will have a similar condition. But it's going to be a very tough race, this one. Of course, run into afternoon conditions, so basically just past midday. Let's see from the onboard here of Nicole Foggen, you can see there are no clouds in the sky, basically. So unless the situation changes dramatically for race time, this will be a very tough race for these guys.
Yeah, absolutely. The time in sim currently is 3:23, so expect it to get potentially dropped by a couple of degrees as the race goes by. But yeah, absolutely difficult for these drives. And remember, there's just not any section of the course where you can kind of cool off those tires on, you know, Monza, Road America, those types of circuits. You got a few long straights where the tires can kind of cool themselves down. Around here, there is no such relief. And so if you heat up the tires, you are in big trouble. Certainly will help the smoother drivers out there this second race. The grid for race 2 of the evening. It is Gary Croft on pole position alongside Richard Warringham. Then it's the two Pitstone Motorsports drivers, Michael Avdoka and George McClay. Those two will really be fancying their chances in this one. Then it's Klusman and Foggy, Brandon and Clement, Stadler and Antonio rounding out the top 10. Behind that, it's Woodward, Whiting, Gregory, Taranto, Buzan, Bogotayev, Frost, Polido, and Hoffman in this 19-car field. Remember, at the end of this one, we will have a full reverse grid for race 3. And so a bad race in this one, it's not all game over for these drivers, but they do have to make sure they are on the lead lap. Everyone is onto the grid now. Race 2 of the evening here at Sonoma is about to get underway. And away we go. Not a good start for Croft whatsoever. Warmingham will move ahead. What can Avdoka do just behind? He's going to go for a move straight away, I imagine. McClay making contact, going into turn 2. There could be a big off here, and there is. Not sure who that's cutting the course. I think that's Klusman losing out big time, and he's going to go tumbling down the field with a massive slowdown. Warmingham still in the race lead. Great start for him. Croft trying to hold back Avdoka, who's always making a couple of moves as Klusman rounds off this awful start after a decent result in race 1. He's right to the rear of the field straight away. Pretty much no change out there. Brandon's got ahead of Foggy, crucially, as down the inside he goes of George McClay.
No.
And McClay's almost on his side. And round goes the Pitstone Motorsport driver. And McClay with an awful start there and makes more contact as well. Big errors for plenty of the drivers up there. Some relief for Klusman, at least, who gains a few positions right there. But, well, that was probably quite avoidable there from McClay.
Very chaotic start there to begin the race, as Avdoka is going for a ride into the grass, and now he has to defend very hard from Johnny Brandon, who touches him and sends him around at the hairpin. So everything is happening in this first lap. I mean, it's really to keep track of all that is happening, and now Stadler fancying his chances at Johnny Brandon, the defending champion, and Miguel Clement is now sitting in P6 and fancying his chances as well. We had an eventful start, let's put it this way.
Absolutely. So we've had Klusman Evdoka and McClay, all big runners, dropping down the field on that opening lap. I wonder if there was maybe a little bit of damage for Brandon as well, who seemed to go into the wall. But it's now an XVR 134, so very good position for that team. But yeah, Evdoka down 9 places, Klusman down 8, and McClay down 11 so far. They could be looking good for race 3 of the evening, but race 2 could well be a write-off for those guys. Still, yeah, potential for plenty of moves out there.
Oh,
Is
here
Brandon
comes
jumping down the
Johnny.
field? He is! And after a fantastic race 1, which seemed to get his championship back on track, Johnny Brandon falling down the field, and now he's going to drop behind the likes of Evdoka and Klusman, maybe even behind McClay, who he made contact with on the last lap, and maybe getting a bit of damage, is it? Or no, he's just dipped a wheel onto the grass there. Oh, that's a massive hit, isn't it, Marco? And that could be the end of his day. And Evdoka coming into the pits as well. I wonder if he's got too severe damage. They do get a faster pair, so he should at least stay on the lead lap.
Let's get some replays out of the way. Well, because that was very, very interesting what happened here with Evdoka as well, going wide. So he moved back on the racing line. Brandon fancied his chances and he was pushed out of the racing line, the racing surface for a bit, I should say. And off he went, and then we also had another contact there with Tony Klusterman having issues. He was taking his slowdown here just at the beginning of the lap, and he got contact. I mean, the Fitztie drivers really in the thick of things here in the beginning of the race, and then one of them, I think it was Gregory, who was sent almost tumbling, but I cannot find the replay. It must be hidden somewhere in all this drama that happened at the beginning of the race. I will try and get to it later, but back live, because in all of this, Gary Croft is still in second place overall.
Yeah, and Foggy will be looking to get the move done here. Will Croft defend too much? He feels as though it's a matter of time, really. Croft, usually quite a responsible driver, as down the inside potentially goes Foggy, maybe trying to scare his opponent off the circuit. Stadler is closing in on these guys. He's 2 seconds behind, but well, will he be able to close in enough? He feels like Croft and Stadler by equal paces. Foggy goes down the inside here, and this is going to be a move for second position. It's an XBR 1-2 now, although Croft keeping it round the outside. Still side by side, he's pulling back ahead. Will Foggy commit to this move a little bit more this time? Croft is defending absolutely superbly at the moment and gets the power down decently again. Foggy just moving ahead though, and that's a nice move up into second place. But that was good defense from the club driver. Stadler has gained about a second on these guys. Since that, as you see, Foggy really pushing it through the S's.
As Hoffman is in the wall there. I think he made a mistake coming down the hill section there. Let's get a replay of that. And then we will keep an eye on the drivers who are fighting to stay on the lead lap. He already had some damage coming. So the big guns coming in early to repair some damage. Michael Evdoka is back on the track, of course, getting the fast repair. Same goes for Johnny Brandon. Right now, we have no drivers 1 lap down. So, as of this moment, they will all be part of the reverse. But we will have to see, because it's not a foregone conclusion that all of them stay on the lead lap, considering the extreme situation, the extreme racing conditions that we're having, and the all-around madness that is going around on the racetrack today.
Here comes Whiting and Polido. Whiting with a decent race 1 result, finishing in 12th place. Pulls ahead of Polido, who finished race 1 in 18th position. Potential issues for McClay out there. I don't know if he's picked up a bit more damage compared to what he had earlier on, but he is absolutely crawling around the circuit at the moment. Really worth him to come into the pits, get a faster pair, because if he stays out there for too long, he could potentially be lapped, and that would be absolutely shambolic for him, because, well, it's looking pretty good for him at the moment. Potentially a race 3 pole. Here is what happened to McClay, at least on the race start. Wasn't a good launch whatsoever. You can see his teammate Evdoka pulling away from him. He was side by side with Klusterman, who, well, that's a bit of netcode. I think Gregory had some netcode as well with Klusterman. And, well, that was nothing really that those two drivers could do. They do have utmost respect for one another after their classic duel at Nürburgring earlier on in the season. And this is where it kind of goes poorly for McLean. You can see Brandon just moving ahead of Foggy in behind. And Brandon will go for the inside hit on the Fitzo Motorsport driver. A little bit of a late move, and is this going to be netcode again? Yes, it is. And, well, plenty victim to that so far today. And McLean trying to get out of the way of the drivers, but unfortunately collects a couple more of them. And, well, that damage is really costing him. He's about 4 seconds a lap off the pace.
Yes, I mean, and you could see just at the very, very beginning of the race how all the drivers were struggling for grip, as Harald Stedler is a little bit sideways there. So it was very tough for these guys to deal with both, you know, the chaos of the reverse, albeit small, it was still a reverse, and the track conditions being absolutely extreme. So now, as things seems to have settled, and it almost took half of the race to get everything under control, Gary Croft is still having a fantastic race so far. You know, winning his category in race 1 and looking very, very close to the possibility of winning race 2 as well, and also on the podium of the overall classification, even though Ara Stedler is surely fancying his chances. Back at the front is about to get close between the two XVR teammates, Wormingham and Foggy, but let's see if Stedler goes for a move here at the hairpin and maybe get, I think, his first ever podium in this series, if I'm not mistaken, but I might be wrong, as most of the times I am.
I think you're right. He may have even got a podium on the media day, I'm not quite sure. But either way, this is a fantastic result for Harold Stadler currently, as Foggy goes for the lead here. Wormingham always very generous, even to drivers who his arch nemesis, let alone his teammate. And through goes Nicole Foggy. He's looking, of course, for his first race win of the evening. It would be his 4th race win in 6 races, I believe. So Nicole Foggy certainly the man with the momentum, driving very well at the moment. Gregory having a great result. This might be his best result to date. In 6th position currently. But he's having to hold off Anthony Woodward with Nikolai Bogotayev closing the gap. Also Antonia and Klosterman closing in. Behind that, you got another 17... Oh, you got 4 seconds back to Taranto, to be fair. And then 17 seconds back to Frost. So, well, these guys are all converging into one another. How liberal will Klosterman be, I wonder? Well, by that judging, he's going to be pretty firm out there, getting past Antonia. Just about. And he's up into 9th position. Really could get... Well, could he get a podium here? It would be remarkable if he could. But he's only 9 seconds off Gary Croft currently in 3rd place. So, Klosterman, well, he's got his eyes set. It's all about how fast he can get through the traffic.
And you know, it's always interesting to see how these drivers approach race 2 of a triple header in this championship, because you are stuck between a predicament, because it's either you get a good result in race 2 or you sacrifice race 2 but you get a nice starting position in race 3. I remember, I think it was Michael Evdoka or Nicole Foggy, I don't remember, in Okayama last season. He deliberately, more or less, took a fast repair in race 2 after, that, if you remember, that infamous pile-up, and started in the front of the field in race 3 and winning comfortably, whilst his rivals were entangled in a battle. And it's not a straightforward decision, of course, because as per usual, since these triple headers take place in short tracks, you seriously risk going a lap down, so it's never easy. But let's see, it seems that everyone, Brandon Evdoka and Klosterman for that matter, are really pushing hard and trying to get as many points as possible in this second race, as Woodward sideways almost, and now Bogotayev has joined the party as well, and Klosterman also.
Well, you say that McLean and Evdoka are pushing, but they are very slow at the moment. I wonder if maybe they are waiting to fall to the back of the pack and going to try to get a 1-2 on the grid for race 3, seeing that this race is pretty much a write-off for them, and really the furthest they're going to get up, well, maybe they could have caught up to Frost, sorry, potentially, but yeah, I think probably McLeay and Evdog are deliberately going to pull behind Brandon and Whiting and Polido potentially as well, and potentially start on the front row of the grid for race 3. Wide goes Gregory. He's got a proper train behind him now. Tries to think of a pun. Really can't think of one, but there you go. I really do need these names to start with either a T or a C. But well, Benjamin Gregory unfortunately doesn't start with either of those as he goes very wide, and he's going to lose 1, 2, and maybe even 3 positions. And Gregory, after defending so well, is going to lose out. But down the inside goes Klosterman, makes contact with Bogotayev, and more contact as well. Klosterman going to try to nail this one, going into turn 1 potentially. Bogotayev with a lot of rear damage there. And Klosterman needs to make this one as quickly as possible because he wants to get to at least 6th position if he possibly can. We go for the inside into this chicane, not usually an overtaking spot. It's one of the next 2 corners after this, which are usually the best chances to gain a position. But you can see just ever so slightly offline. You can see Antonio as well, just in the background, gaining on these guys. Taranto is only 5 seconds back as well. And with the extremely high temperatures here, it's always very possible that you can spin up the wheels and all of a sudden start losing about a second a lap, as we were talking about earlier on. The track temperature is still at 47 degrees. Bogotayev still under pressure from Klosterman, but I feel say this is going to be an inevitable move down into the hairpin.
Yes, let's see if Klosterman can line up. Bogotayev goes a bit wide, and I think this will give the chance to Tony to make the move. Meanwhile, behind them, side by side, not really between Bogotayev and Antonia. Sorry, between Antonia and what was that? Benjamin Gregory, of course. And I think your conspiracy theory is quite right. Let's see a replay of what just happened.
Yep. Well, considering that they're fighting for the championship, I feel as though that's probably quite orchestrated there from the Pitstay Motorsport drivers there. And almost
this was less than courteous, I have to be honest. I was expecting something both a little bit more gentle, you know. But yes, Johnny Brandon went past. Oh, well, I have to be honest with you. Evdoka is dropping even more to the back. Has been passed by many drivers, including Whiting and Pulido. Meanwhile, McLeay under attack from Whiting.
Oh, and off into the wall goes Clyde Whiting, along with Raul Pulido. And, well, it's always a possibility with a wall like that which sticks out for the drivers. And that was a hefty impact there. Let's see what happened. Whiting on the inside, that's McLeay just pulling ahead. And they're just going to get tangled up on one another. One driver on the circuit, the other driver trying to get back onto the circuit. And, well, hopefully they'll be able to take their fast repairs. They might just stay on the lead lap, but they'll be very fortunate to do so.
Yes, I think we have the static camera, and you can see the violence of this impact. I mean, it was absolutely brutal for both of them. And here we go. Whiting is in the pits. Will Pulido follow suit? I think so. Meanwhile, I mean, hats off to Gary Croft, because he's really holding his own in front of Harald Stedler. And so far holding on to this podium position. Yes, we know it's tough to pass around here, but still you have to defend. And he's defending very well, apparently. And also Miguel Clement, I mean, hats off to him as well, because he is already about to score a top 5, the rookie racing team driver from Spain. Oh, that's a less than ideal line from Croft, I have to say, but he gets away with it.
Yeah, great performance so far from Clement. Not only has he shown great pace out there, but also great maturity as well. Clearly got some experience in this V8 car, because anyone who's ever tried it knows that to get anywhere near the ballpark in this car, you've got to put in a lot of hours of practice. Really got to change your mentality. Really takes a precise type of driving style. Got to be ever so smooth with the steering inputs and also the throttle inputs as well, and the braking inputs. So really driving very well at the moment is Clement. But what can Stadler do against Croft? He's close as he would ever want to be, but just missing the apex ever so slightly. And you can see once you turn in ever so late into one of those corners, it's just impossible to get back onto the apex with the understeer in these V8 machines. And as another lap ticks by, we've got 4 more to go. Would be a fantastic 3-4-5 for these drivers. Have got Klusman just behind us. Off goes Gregory. And he's going to lose out to Antonia there after trying to get past Antonia, I believe. Oh, sorry, Antonia has got past him.
Yes.
Trying to get past Dead Pocket Time. And you can see there, Gregory way out to the corner and seemingly almost spinning the car in, what, 3rd or 4th gear there?
Yes, lucky for him there is no wall there. Had it happened like 100 meters up ahead, he would have been straight nose first, front of the car first, into the very, very hard concrete barrier there. There is no safer barrier like we see on the ovals. And drivers over the years have really, really been into bad crashes there. I remember, I think Jamie McMurray a few years ago, after the checkered flag, was sent there, he was in a tight battle, I think, for position. They touched with his opponent as they crossed the start-finish line, and he went straight into the wall. That was a massive hit. Gary Croft still holding his own. He only has 3 more laps to resist, because we are in lap 16 for the leaders already, and lap 16 will start right now for everyone else. 3 drivers so far, 1 lap down. Pulido and Whiting are stuck in the pits, and Hoffman is still on the track, but running, as you can see, 1 lap down. Where is the leader? He is right in front of him. So let's focus on this battle here, because I think we are going to have some fireworks.
Yeah, I think so. 3.5 laps to go for the race leaders. Will be interesting to see if Foggy can catch and pass Frost and Buzan by the end of this race. If he doesn't, then those two should be on the front row of the grid. They kind of need to stop fighting one another, because they're going to be looking fantastic on the grid for race 3. If they can just, calm down, because there is Foggy. This is going to be ever so close. Very important for those guys. 2 laps to go for Foggy. So that's very important, of course, because if he does lap them, then it will be a McClay Docker front row of the grid. Here comes Stadler. Down the inside, is he? No, nice defense there from Croft. Oh, but here comes Stadler. Fantastic kind of turning there from Stadler. Really got the car pitched around there. Trying to get the inside maybe for turn 1. But you can see how the drivers in this car take early apexes, and it just means that the track really narrows on corner entry. Stadler just cannot find a way past at the moment. Clement very much doing the right thing, staying behind in 5th place. Klusman only 2 seconds behind these guys. He's going to be on the tail of them by the end of lap 18. But you doubt he's going to be able to really make a move. But, well, either way, if Stadler makes this move or not, it's still going to be a fantastic result as he goes for it. Down the inside, there's contact between the 2 of them, and almost round, and now extra contact as well. Stadler's almost round. Is there any way through for Clement? No, and almost contact once again. Stadler moves ahead, though, into the top 3. I'm not sure if that was a deliberate move or not, or maybe just a misjudged braking point. But you can see Klusman, he is right onto the back of them now. Forget the end of lap 18, he's right onto the back of them at the end of lap 17. Can he go for the move into the hairpin? as the race leader moves onto the final lap. Down the inside goes Clement. That's going to be a fantastic move, I think, and it sure is. Awesome move there from Miguel. He's up into the top 4. Klusman now, next up to get past Guy Croft, who defended for so well, so long, and lets his teammate go. He's dropped from 3rd position to 6th position in 1 lap after spending the first 17 in the top 3.
Michael Frost fighting for his pole position in the final few corners of the race, with Nicole Foggy running towards the race win. I think he... he's moving out of the way.
Maybe doesn't feel like taking the pole position there, does Frost. As off goes Klosterman. It was almost a perfect recovery, but he's blown the engine.
The engine gone.
As round the final corner comes Nicole Foggy. It's going to be his 4th race win in 6 races. Nicole Foggy for XVR Sim Racing crosses the line, and that is an excellent performance from him. It's a 1-2 for XVR, with Richard Warmium rounding out the top 2. Hal Sadler will be quite some far back, but this is surely going to be his first podium in his Euro V8's career. An awesome result for Harold Stadler. Take a bow. He finishes on the rostrum. Miguel Clements on his debut evening. An awesome 4th place, and boy did he have to earn that one, with Croft in the end quite a thankful 5th ahead of his teammate Woodward in 6th. Klosterman will finish in 10th position seemingly. Sorry, is this a replay of what happened to Klosterman?
Yes. So let's see, is the pass on his teammate? He goes down the hill, he's got some damage, you can see on the left side, but nothing major it seems, and I think maybe his car snapped at some point around here in the next few seconds after this corner. Oh, he lost it coming out of the corner there on the curb and straight into the wall. Was he able to finish the race? I think he was. Who we are waiting for? Michael Evdoka.
Oh, who's going to finish ahead? I think. No! Absolutely brilliant. Well, they got to cross the line in the next 20 seconds, and in the end, it's Evdoka who pulls ahead. And Pizan will finish last. He will be on reverse grid pole. Absolutely awesome scenes there.
I can say I am expecting a rule change for next season. Oh no, sorry, there is one more super sprint left at the final round of the season as per usual, so yeah, I'm expecting a rule change.
Yes, I think so. Maybe we could have an extra reverse grid, maybe,
Yes.
where you have a mixture of full -1, -2, and -3. And
Could be a nice idea, and that we could
Could
pitch
be.
to the organizers. So, as Sam Buzin takes the checkered flag, we can go through the race results for race 2.
yeah, so it's Nicole Foggy winning out here at Sonoma. Another race victory for him. He extends his championship lead of his teammate Richard Warmium in 2nd place. Those two, of course, will be starting in 14th and 15th places in race 3. Hal Stadler, his debut podium in this series. Great result. Miguel Clements almost, just as impressive. His debut evening in 4th. Gary Croft finished in 5th with Anthony Woodward in 6th. There's Nikolai Bogotayev in 7th with Philip Antonia in 8th. Benjamin Gregory was in 9th with Johnny Brandon. Decent recovery from him in 10th. Tony Klusman finished in 11th with Katie Taranto in 12th. There's George McClay and Michael Evdoka and Samuel Buzan. So Buzan on pole, Evdoka in 2nd, McClay in 3rd. That will be how race 3 lines up. The drivers who just missed out on the reverse grid were Frost and Hoffman, and then the retirees after a big collision were Whiting and Polido. So, no need to spin a wheel, of course, no matter how much we would love to, because, like I just said, it will be Buzan and Evdoka on the front row of the grid for race 3 of the evening here at Sonoma. You do not want to miss it. Catch it in about 25 minutes' time.
Growing up as a kid in Oklahoma, where I'm from, the Chili Bowl is the biggest race that we have. The Chili Bowl has kind of been my favorite race of the year. Growing up a dirt racer in Oklahoma, that's kind of the holy grail.
Punch it. Great job, you did really well.
Welcome back to the KSW Painting Year V8 SuperCar Series live on Apex Racing TV. Once again, I am Sam Fitzpatrick, alongside me is Marco Barbonet. We're here for race 3 of the evening in the Super Sprints. And after a fantastic race 2, which went the way of Nicole Foggy, a full reverse grid will really mix up the order for this one, Marco. And, you know, Nicole Foggy's an excellent driver, but even him will struggle to win this one. I think it's a great opportunity, particularly for the likes of McClay, Evdoka, Brandon and Klusman to get their name on the winner's score sheet today.
Oh yes, absolutely. I think that the drivers will be helped a bit by the cooler track conditions, 24 degrees, but it's going to be extremely hard. Let's be honest. The guy starting from the back will need to have a lot of luck and great skill if they want to finish on the podium at least. I mean, because if you bank on something crazy happening in front of you, well, with this track more likely than not you are going to be involved. So really, I in a track where it's so difficult to pass, I mean, these drivers have really surprised us over the years, so I wouldn't count them out, but it's going to be super tough, like you said, a great chance for the guys starting at the front. And speaking of which, I'm expecting the session to switch over in about 3 seconds, and then we will be ready to give you the starting grid.
Yes, and on pole position for this race 3 of the evening is Samuel Buzan ahead of Michael Evdoka. Then it's Evdoka's teammate George McClay alongside Katie Rose Turante, Tony Klusman and Johnny Brandon, former champions, start in 5th and 6th. Ben Gregory starts in 7th ahead of Philip Antonia, Nikolai Bogotayev and Ashley Woodward, who rounds out the top 10. And then behind that, it's Guy Croft, Miguel Clement, Hal Stadler, Richard Warmium, race 2 winner Nicole Foggy, Michael Frost, Andrew Hoffman, Clyde Whiting and Raul Ruiz Pulido will round out this one. We're about to get going here at Sonoma, race 3 of the evening. Samuel Buzan from the pole position, and away we go. Good start for Buzan, should be able to hold on to the lead through these first few corners, but down the inside goes Evdoka. Is he going to be able to take the lead straight away here? We've got 3 side by side, down into turn 2 is off. Goes Klusman, he's onto the dirt, and that's an awful start once again, just like he had in race 2. Stadler also having a spin. Not a great start either for Foggy, I believe, having issues, and so too Brandon. So plenty of drivers with big issues there. Foggy in fact maintaining that position, but not a great start from his perspective. Evdoka is in the lead, so great start for him. Gregory losing a few positions out there, maybe picking up a slowdown or maybe a little bit more serious than that with damage, as we see McClay moving ahead of Buzan. It's a TechSense Fitstow Motorsport 1-2 currently. Buzan next up having to hold up Taranto instead.
Yes, another chaotic start. Waiting for this. Oh, Whiting is going quickly down the order, and he had a problem there. And I think also some issues for Gregory, and now he spins, maybe after some contact, and hard into the tire wall there. And that is not recommended, of course, as Nicole Foggy goes past Richard Wormingham. Where is Johnny Brandon? Here, getting past Pulido and pointing towards the car, the very, very colorful car of Michael Frost. Yes, I can get my words out. On Tuesday I'm turning 30, so I'm getting a bit older, Yeah. The years are becoming more and more every time.
Well, I probably won't speak to you until maybe, I'm not sure actually, but certainly not till Tuesday. So congratulations, as many of the viewers will joining me.
What are we doing on Tuesday?
No, well, I don't think we'll see each other till Tuesday.
You are getting older as well. It seems the racer's word is over.
Yes, exactly. Oh dear, losing brain cells already. Here is Guy Croft, and after a decent 5th position in, 5th position in race 2, holding off Nicole Foggy currently. Woodward having a good start. He's up 4 positions. So too is Antonio, who's had several great starts. He's up in 4th position himself. And also Torrente having a decent run of it at the moment in 5th. Klusman is about to get past Woodward, I believe. These two are teammates. And, well, Woodward makes that one very simple for him. Up into 6th position goes Tony Klusman.
Keep an eye on Tony as well, of course, and also in the back, Brandon went past Michael Frost and now he's behind his teammates. Both Foggy and Wormingham are in front of him as Frost now gets side by side with Pulido. Some contact there, and there is Harald Stadler. Of course, speaking of the Sim Racers World Championship, of course, Harald Stadler, teammate of EF Van Genechten, the champion there, as Pogacar also fancying his chances. Tony Klusterman passes Katie Rose Taranto there. And we have issues with Frost going around. And maybe parking the car? No, he's back on the track. Okay, good for him. Where is Foggy? Well, Foggy has got some bigger issues on his end. As you can see, well, my original click to change the camera was to see what was going on with Foggy, and then we saw Frost going around. But as you can see, Nicole Foggy is missing an important piece of his car. He stays out, and I will get you a replay as soon as I can.
Yeah, you say missing an important piece. He's missing the front of his car, and this is why. Is it an unforced error? Oh, well. Unusual there for Foggy. He seemed to maybe get a bit of a slapper on coming out of the corner. And, yeah, getting a bit of a tap as well with some netcode. And into the wall he went. Troubles as well. With Tony Klusman, this was when he was behind Philip Antonia, having a spin. And completely his fault, that one, taking too much curb. And picking up a slowdown as well, I believe. Klusman down into 8th position. So Klusman is 8th. Brandon in 10th. Foggy down in 13th currently. Meanwhile, Avdoka and McClay leading the way for Britstar Motorsport. So plenty of issues, just as we saw in race 2. And yeah, it's different drivers really benefiting from it. You can see Klusman, thankfully, from his perspective, with a relatively clean car, he might still be able to achieve a podium in this one. You can see Foggy not too far behind him, not losing too much time out there despite that damage. A little bit careful though on the brakes. Unusual to see him a little bit tentative out there.
Oh.
He almost makes contact with the wall. He's trying to get past Pulido currently. Stadler only just behind, and I think struggling really down the straights right now, Marco. And well, this isn't helping Foggy whatsoever. This is one of the biggest setbacks he's had all season, maybe bar that non-finish at Imola.
Yes, the race 2 in Imola, where he was scheduled to start, I think I think he won race 1 and then race 2. Connection issues for him. Let's go back to Gary Croft, by the way, who is on course. I mean, if he can win this race in his category, he will win all 3 rounds, but he has a mountain to climb because Sam Buzin is having a great run and is quite ahead of him. You can see him is here in P3 right now, in the position where Croft was in race 2, by the way, and no drivers behind him to speak of as of this moment. Nicole Foggy, and he went past Pulido, but now Stadler also putting some pressure on him as Johnny Brandon is about to pass. No, sorry, that was Gary Croft getting passed right now by Wormingham. And so, well, getting past may have gotten ahead of myself there because Croft is responding.
Oh, Klusman and Clement currently going side by side. Here they are. Clement with such an awesome debut drive so far, and probably doing the wise thing there, backing out. Or is he backing out?
Sorry.
Is he going to try to respond straight away? Down the inside he goes on the 2-time champion. But probably does the wise thing in just staying behind. This is where Klusman made his mistake in race 2. But no such mistake this time. He's in 6th position. Like I said, still a podium possible for the Canadian driver. Wormingham trying to get past Croft. Foggy not too far behind either.
This was why the rapid camera cut, because Sam Buzin in 3rd had a little bit of an off. Of course, he would like to finish on the podium overall, but I think for him also very important is the class win, and he's on par to do so right now. Let's get very quickly the gaps on the screen. And he has 10 seconds or more or less over the second placed car in the oh, who's that with the Nicole Foggy as a passenger apparently, at least on my screen. That being Cone, which is never good because it can really slow you down, especially okay, now he Super Mario style, Mario Kart style, he gets the Cone to eject from the rear side of his car as Arash Stadler gets past Pulido. Hectic start, I would say, but we are almost halfway through this race, and so it's maybe an hectic first half of the race, and still some drivers who are trying to get back. Tony Klusteron is up to P6, maybe P4 in a bit, with Woodward, his teammate, in front of him.
Yeah, these super sprints today at Sonoma really works well. Sometimes we see these super sprints where the top drivers are sent down the order at the start of the race. A little bit trivial for them, getting up back to the fronts within a few laps, but we've seen the midfield very competitive today as Kloosman goes down the inside of Woodward. He's up into the top 5. Here comes Foggy down the inside of Croft. Well, these two are racing against each other earlier on before a mistake from Nicole Foggy. And by the way, his pace is superb at the moment, Foggy. So, that damage seemingly not affecting him too much. Warmium also goes straight past Gay Croft as well. He'll now have Stadler and Pulido for company. Here's Brandon trying to get past Clement. And, well, this part of the circuit, certainly an opportunity for him. He's only 1.5 seconds off Tony Kloosman in 5th position. Still a podium possible for Brandon. He's 6 seconds off those positions. And here he goes for a move on Clements. And down the inside he goes. And that's a nice move for Johnny Brandon up into 7th place. And crucially staying ahead of his teammate Nicole Foggy, who'll be next up.
Erla Stadler now trying to get past Croft now, who is dropping some positions in the last couple of laps. Now he's back to where he started, P11. Ben Gregory has some issues.
Well, he already had a crash, and I think he's already used his fast repair. Ooh, big well, it's not the worst collision into the wall, but maybe just having enough of it, says Ben Gregory. Hopefully we'll see him back next time, in 2 weeks' time. As Stadler, making a bit of contact with Gary Croft. Can Croft get it? Stops. Does very well there. Stadler, just no way through. Too narrow the circuit.
Oh, hello. I forgot that Pulido was this close, this battle.
Yeah, he's really joined the fight. Has almost rounded off over the curb. Well, Pulido will be thankful that it's nothing worse than that, as Archetype will get past him as well. Here is Buzan versus Antonia then. They have a chance at scoring their first podiums in this series, respectively, after we saw a debut podium for Stadler in race 2. And, well, of course, we're not meant to be biased here in the commentary box, but I'm sure me and Mike are certainly wishing them the best of luck as the established drivers. Season 1 champion and Season 2 champion Tony Kloosman, along with Season 5 champion Johnny Brandon, close in on them. Brandon now past Woodward, and this could be an epic battle potentially between Buzan, Antonia, Kloosman and Brandon in the closing stages. Only 8.5 minutes to go.
I don't know what's going on with Foggy's car after that big smash into the wall. Fastest lap of the race for him at 13.15. So really, I mean, we saw, if you remember on Thursday, we had some cars in the Sim Racers World Race that took some pretty big whacks and were still, pushing out quick lap times after 1 hour and 15 minutes of race. And distance is shorter here as Antonia takes the alternative route there. Of course, I think World Rallycross is starting today in Abu Dhabi. As once again, Antonia is really struggling, and here comes Tony, and I think he will have a slowdown wide again. And into the pits.
Oh dear.
That's
That's
weird.
really disappointing. Must be
Yeah.
a hardware issue, I imagine, for Antonia.
Stadler and Croft going at it once again. So I said, Brandon fastest lap of the race, by the way. So World Rally Cross starting, I think, today, if I'm not mistaken. Tomorrow, two great events. I mean, one bigger than the other. The small one is the second launch of the Falcon Heavy from SpaceX, and the big one, of course, my 1-year anniversary at Apex Racing TV. So, which is unbelievable to think that 1 year has already gone by.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I
Since that,
think actually I recently passed my 2-year anniversary. So hey, congratulations. I still remember that first race at Bathurst where I
well,
had connection issues and you
issues.
had to do about 10 minutes of the race solo on your debut and did exceptionally well.
Well,
Fortunately, it's been all downhill since then, but you
yeah.
know, to start off like that was very impressive.
Yeah, I know. I was not aware of the calendar of this series, but I would say a yellow card warning to the organizers of this championship because they could have scheduled Bathurst to double header for this week instead of the 2 weeks from now. No, it would have been perfect.
Yes, absolutely.
Instead, we are stuck in the desert with Stedler stuck behind Croft for quite a few laps right now, and now Tony Klusterman is pushing hard to get on the podium, and so is Johnny Brandon. So these drivers, once again, Sam, find a way to surprise us. These top drivers fighting for the podium.
Yeah, quite remarkable. Klusman really strong actually in this race 3, considering that he was quite far off the pace in race 1. Needs to get past Buzan straight away here. Struggling to get the power down, but really brave here from Tony Klusman. He's down the inside and into the podium positions. Looking good for his second podium of the evening. And if I'm correct, if he could do that, he'd be the only driver today to have got 2 podiums. No, sorry, Foggy got 2 podiums, didn't he? Screw that. But no, he'd be one of only 2 drivers to get 2 podiums today, so that'd be very impressive. Here comes Brandon. He wants to get 2 podiums today after a win in race 1. And he's got past Sam Buzan there, so only 8/10 of a second between Klusman and Brandon. And, well, certainly any fans of this series will want to see these two go at toe-to-toe once again. Of course, both championship rivals. This man, though, Nicole Foy, very much the favourite still as it stands. He's 2/10 of a second behind Miguel Clement, who is on course for 3 top 10. So I don't know if any debutant has ever achieved that before. Absolutely remarkable performance from him so far today. Foggy's pace it's good, but Clement's pace is very good as well. So that's why maybe Foggy's making this struggling to get this move done straight away. Round the outside goes Miguel. But, nah, can't really pull it round there. Certainly the ideal line for Foggy, as Brandon closes the gap to Klusterman.
Get some shots from the rear camera of Tony Klusterman, as we can see this beautiful, beautiful sunset about to drop here in Northern California. As the shadows are getting longer, we won't have the lights on from the cars. But we will have them in 1 month's time when we go to Charlotte for the final enduro of the season. And of course, like I said, in the middle of that, we get a stop in Mount Panorama. So what more can you ask? I think some exciting times ahead for this championship, as we have only after this one 3 rounds left, if I'm not mistaken. So
Really? Wow.
yeah, time has gone by very quickly, as we have a battle here, by the way, with Wormingham getting past Clementer, and he gets it done, maybe. Now he gets it done, even though he will have the outside there, but he's able to go through. And back to this battle here, because Johnny Brandon means business. I think he wants to get on the podium, and he has 4 laps left to do so.
Yeah, this is his favourite overtaking spots. Klusman Always very happy to take a very defensive line out there. We should really just touch in with our race leaders, the two Texense Fitstone Motorsport drivers, because I don't think we've seen them since the very start, because they've been absolutely cruising along. No points in racing each other. They're going to accumulate some nice points. Of course, should pick up the bonus points as well for not picking up any incidents as far as we've seen. So Evdoka leading the way, 3 seconds ahead of McClay, and they are 10 seconds clear of Klisterman and Brandon. Going to be a very good race for them. Will be Evdoka's second race win of the season after, I believe, winning race 3 at Okayama. Sorry, not Okayama, Tsukuba earlier on in the season. So here we are, Brandon versus Klisterman. Still going at it are these two. And, well, he certainly feels like it's going to be the hairpin, his best chance. Of course, the track temperature not too bad for these drivers anymore, only 24 degrees. The coolest race of the day so far, which should help Klisterman. He usually uses up his tyres quite significantly. And arguably there, defending thin air, but he is crucially keeping that podium position.
See Brandon go through the gears, 5th gear, will he go into 6th? Yes. As a slight tap on the...
Woodward versus Foggy, sorry.
Woodward versus...
Oh, Scott has a an off.
And here we go. And
Nice
Foggy...
move there from Nicole Foggy.
Yeah, good move there. Someone was off there. I think it was Bogatarev, maybe. I just got with the, you know, back end of the shot there. Back to this fight here then. Beautiful section. This, I mean, this track is... I mean, it's unbelievable how much I despise the full version of this track. Because it has no reference points. And some unnecessary sections like the one where you go in the drag strip.
Nah, that's a really good section of corners. Really good.
This one is nice because it's you know, it's you know, I'm an oval driver, you know, because so this is tailor-made for me, not too difficult, and you know, with a few corners, not a lot of corners, and you know, it has the elevation changes which are always nice. Johnny Brandon now has a little bit stopped his progression as he was trying to get close to Tony Klusterman there for the podium. 2 laps to go. And right now, across the field, the battles have a little bit... oh, wow. That was closer than I would expect. That moment there.
Absolutely.
Was that,
Brandon, is he in range? Ooh, not quite. Klisterman's very good through this hairpin. See how he takes an early apex then. Seems to still get a very good launch out and carries decent speed through that corner as well. And it's here where Brandon is constantly dropping about 0.3 of a second behind, just as he is right now. And it's not giving him a chance down into the hairpin, but maybe this time is an opportunity for him. But Klisterman always parks his car in the middle of the circuit. Brandon's going to try to go all the way around the outside. No chance there.
And he's around!
Goes Johnny Brandon. And he's going to surely drop behind Samuel Buzan, I believe. Unless he might just be okay. Yes, he is going to be okay. So that could have been a whole lot worse there for Brandon. But that's his chances of a podium gone as Foggy moves up into the top 5.
Final lap of the race, white flag is in the air as we are sorting out the final few battles. I think Wormingham is trying to get past Woodward, and so he does. And let's go back here with Foggy and Buzin once again. I think Foggy is good. Now he should be able to pull away from the... I forgot how to say in the winner-elect of the yellow class, but Michael Evdoka, one more corner for him.
Yes, he's going to take his second race victory of the season. Michael Evdoka will make it 3 different winners today at Sonoma, and he crosses the line for Texense Fitstone Motorsport to win. His teammate George McClay will finish in second position. Tony Klusman, a strong third for him, his second podium of the day. And that's not a bad points accumulation for him. It will be Foggy in 5th, Buzan in 6th, and Warmingham just about holding off Woodward. Did he? Yes. By 1/100th of a second across the line. Incredible battle between the pair of them.
Yes, that was super close as all the other drivers are coming through. I think last one will be Philip Antonio, who is back on the track. That was a very, very weird issue what he had whilst he was having a fantastic run in the front end of the field. He will be the last one to cross the line. And after we will go through the race results for this final race of the day. Thank you for sticking with us, of course. Today we also had Sim Racers Asia earlier today. And you know, this series, of course, now with the switch to daylight saving time being pushed ahead or behind, so in 1 hour later than what we are used to do during the winter time. Okay, everyone has gone through, and now Sam, we can go through the race results for race 3.
Yes, and it's Michael Avdoka winning out his second race victory of the season. George McClay, surely will win a race this season. You'd think he's been on the podium numerous times recently. Still a good second place for him. Tony Klusman finished in 3rd with Johnny Branton, the reigning champion, in 4th. Nicole Foggy in 5th. That's a very impressive top 5, considering that certainly Klusman, Branton, and Foggy all had significant issues out there in that race 3. Samuel Buzan finished in 6th place with Richard Warmingham in 7th. There was Anthony Woodward, Miguel Clements, and Hal Stadler rounding out the top 10. There was Nikolai Bogotayev, Gary Croft, Val Pulido, Clyde Whiting, Philip Antonia, Andrew Hoffman was 1 lap down. So too was Katie Torrento. And then the retirees were Michael Frost and Ben Gregory. We always get some interviews with the drivers in this series. But at the moment, we do not. Yes, we do. Of course, we do. We have an interview with Tony Klusman. And Tony, a couple of podiums today, along with a decent race too. Despite maybe a couple of mistakes, you must be relatively pleased with that.
Relatively, yeah, it was exciting out there, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It was, very frantic out there. How did you find the conditions out there, particularly in that race 2? Ever so hot, 47 degrees track temperature, and then we had race 1 and 3, which were extremely cool track temperatures. Did you make any changes with the setup to adjust to that?
Yeah, softened it up quite a bit for the hot track, and the car actually was handling pretty well, but unfortunately got I don't know, turned around or something, and then last lap, it was self-inflicted wound. So, anyways, all things considered, 3 races, 2 top 3s, and that 10th through 11th place was a little disappointing, but not a bad day.
Yeah, absolutely. And we saw your defense really strong, as we've seen for the past few weeks, actually. That race 1, you had to hold back George McClay for pretty much the entire race. In that race 3, you had to hold back Johnny Brandon. Would you say that's an element in your driving that you've improved this season?
I've had a lot of practice, haven't I? It's something that you have to work on. You have to be fair and not multiple block or weave. But I think everybody raced pretty fairly today, and I'm sure the first race there was a bit of a train behind me, but just tried to be as clean as possible.
And next time we head to Bathurst, a circuit that I'm sure you have plenty of experience around, like many of the other drivers. Looking forward to that one, and will we see your teammate Chris Jackson back for that round as well?
Yes, Chris will be back. He has a new set of pedals on the way, and so he'll be back in the saddle for Bathurst. He wouldn't miss it for sure, and I think it's a track that everybody looks forward to.
Absolutely. It's been great to watch you out there today, Tony. Before we let you go, anyone you'd like to thank?
Klaus Winter from KSW Painting for sponsoring our league. He, definitely helps everybody out, and it's nice to see the broadcast. You guys do a fabulous job. Sustainability, Never Quit Racing, D4 Pet Services, the logos on our car, and to you guys for doing such a great job. Thank you.
Thanks, Tony. We'll see you next time.
Take care.
Well, we are just waiting for more drivers to turn up. But Marco, we've already had a little bit of a chat with Tony about Bathurst next time. We've mentioned it a couple of times. Very much a specialist circuit, that, isn't it? And judging by last year, where we saw a fantastic enduro, I think it's going to be very entertaining.
Yes, before we talk about Bathurst, I have to make a correction about what I said, because the final round of the season is going to be a straight double header, which is a surprise, because since the first season I commented on this championship, the final round was a triple header at a very short track, but no, we are going to be at Hulton Park International for a traditional double round, sprint race and feature race on the 18th of May. So 2 weeks earlier we have, of course, the Enduro at Charlotte, and yes, next race is Mount Panorama. So
apologies, Marco. I think you may have incorrected yourself with that apology. I think you might be looking at the wrong page on the website, because one of the pages says that Alton Park is the last round, another one says that Snetterton.
Oh, you are right.
Of course.
Oh man, no, I was wrong, because the last round is of course a Snetterton for a triple header. Snetterton 200, the better version of Snetterton, if you ask me. So, disregard everything I said. Back to the topic at hand. Mount Panorama. What can we say about this track and car combination? Of course, they were made for each other. More, the cars were made for the track, but you know what I mean. And this season we don't have always an endurance there, of course. But talking, of course, with Clyde Whiting, they make an effort, and the only thing that is consistent in the calendar every season, there is a round at Bathurst, and of course you cannot really do super sprint around Bathurst, even though you could do.
We can give that a try, I'm sure.
Yes, but of course this time, the season we had enduro, and 2 seasons ago, and this season we will be back with the the sprint format, so sprint and feature race, morning and late afternoon, so we might avoid the very hot track temperature that we had, that we have usually on iRacing with with the fact that we are in the afternoon race. But of course, let's consider that Mount Panorama is on the other side of the world, so the default iRacing date of the 15th of May will be a date in autumn, I think, for the the southern hemisphere. But this is all, of course, hypothetical. I mean, it's the one round of the season that we circle, with the marker on the calendar, because we know that it's going to be great, and that feature race, Sam, 38 laps, is going to be a very, very long race, almost like a mini enduro, and so I think it's going to be survival of the fittest. Maybe not at a level of an enduro, but certainly it's going to be very, very tough, because if you have a problem and it comes in a weird position that makes you do one more stop in an enduro, you can sort of get away with it with with your pace, your strategy, but here you will need to be super concentrated. It's going to be a very, very long and tough race for the drivers, and honestly I cannot wait.
Absolutely, that's going to be some event, I'm sure. We have got a couple more drivers for interviews. So, Marco, who would you like to have a chat with, or you could have a combo of chats simultaneously?
Yeah, let's bring both XVR drivers in, shall we? Johnny Brandon and Nicole Foggy, both of them here. So, well, hello guys.
Marco.
Hello guys, how are you doing? And congratulations, of course, on your results tonight.
Is that Foggy?
I'll speak first. Thanks. What was it? I think I got 2 and a 1, and Johnny got a 1 in the first race, and then I think the second 2 were a bit dodgy.
I can't remember. I think the second race, the third race was really fun. I think I was last at one point and got back to fourth. Tried to get past Tony on the outside with the start of the last lap. Really tried and just lost the rear end, but I had to have a go. Somewhere he wasn't expecting it. That was the only way it was going to work, but it didn't work out. I was happy to keep fourth. It was good fun that last race. It's a shame about some of the shenanigans going on tonight, but starting to get used to it, unfortunately.
Yeah, and starting with Nicole, of course, I want to ask him about, and then you, Johnny, can of course join him in the answer. This track was, I mean, usually the super sprint races are in a short track, of course, and this was one of them. And another track where it was very tough to pass, and a track that is very unique, being very much a North American only racetrack. They don't have, like Sam was saying during the broadcast, any international series up here. So the way the track limits work, the way the track is shaped, and the runoff areas being basically sand or gravel or something like that. And some places the walls are so close, and in race 2 the track temperature was unbelievably high. I think it was one of the toughest rounds in the super sprint format that you guys have had in quite a long time, Nicole.
Yeah, it definitely was. That, yeah, as you say, the runoffs are, you got absolutely no room to run off. If you do, you clip a tire onto the sand, and that can be you away into one of the walls. So you got to be careful. And the curbs as well can be dodgy. And then especially that, was it turn? I don't know which one it is. The downhill right-hander, and then you got that wall on the outside. Always going so near to it. So you got to be careful of a whole bunch of things like that. It's difficult, but it's fun anyway.
Yeah, the fastest way around there is to get that curve there, and usually, remember, with the skip barber, try to shave that wall as close as possible, which most of the times meant that my skip barber was missing a front left tire more often than not. And we've seen a couple of very, very big hits there today. Johnny,
I didn't think it was. Sorry,
Yeah?
I didn't think it was the most slippery track we've done so far. I wouldn't say that race 2 was the hardest track. It was very hot, but the grip actually felt okay in the car. I know I dropped it and made a mistake, but I had a bit of contact before that, unfortunately, which gave me a bit of damage, and I think that assisted me just being a bit wide, and I just touched the grass or the dust, and that's why I went off. I don't think it was that bad, the track. I think it was very high temperature, but it was fine. I really enjoyed it.
So it was not a Japanese track, what you're trying to say. And of course, I remember Okayama and Tsukuba being
That's it.
the land of nightmares for you guys with this car in super sprint.
That was definitely worse. Harder, more difficult. It was just as much fun, but it was definitely more difficult at Tsukuba. This was a challenge, but it was great. I really enjoyed it. It's first race I've done on iRacing at this track, so it was really enjoyable.
Guys, starting with Johnny, next time around, Bathurst, what are your thoughts about that race? I'm sure the biggest events of the season.
Yeah, I'm probably the only person that drives a V8 that does it. That's wrong, actually. I like Bathurst. I'm just not very quick around there. And I don't know why, because I do like the track. But for some reason, I seem to struggle for pace. It's not the case for Foggy. Foggy is rapid at Bathurst in whatever he drives. So, I think I might give you a heads up as to what might happen at Bathurst. We'll see. Try and pile some pressure on him. It's the only chance I've got.
We will see.
What about you, Nicola, in Bathurst? Are you excited? I think so. Are you confident then? That's the bigger question.
Yeah, well, I'm definitely excited. It's one of my favorite tracks. It's one of those flowing tracks, especially across the top of the mountain. I just really like ones like that, or a bit like the Nordschleife. It's just continuous corners, pretty much. So yeah, I'm excited about it, and I think I am confident because I know I am normally pretty good in most cars around there. So we'll see what happens anyway. I think we got a pretty strong field this season. We'll see what happens, and especially with quali, sometimes it's so close. I think it was the last round that we were really close in quali. There's one time we were within just tenths of each other. A whole bunch of us at the front. So we'll see what happens at Bathurst. Everybody likes Bathurst, I think, and especially in the V8s, it's fun. So, looking forward to that.
Thank you very much, guys. Johnny, go ahead.
No, that's okay. Sorry, Michael. Go on.
No, I just wanted to say if you had some someone you wanted to shout out? Some thanks to give before we let you go?
For me, just XVR, all the teammates, everyone that puts the effort in there with the setups and whatever. Nico, obviously. You guys for the broadcast, Simmortal, and yeah, everyone involved with organising the league. And say thank you to Klaus. I think he's calling it a day in the V8 from KSW. So thanks for everything you've done in the past, Klaus. Appreciate it.
Yeah, same from me. Same as what Johnny said, and thanks to Johnny as well. So nice one. Nice.
Thank you very much, guys, and we'll catch you in a couple of weeks then.
Thanks,
Michael.
man. Catch you soon.
Good night.
Of course, as everyone knows, 2 drivers that I beat in the BSR Winter Series.
Winning the
things have
title
just
in
left the-
Bathurst. Winning the title in Bathurst, no? Final race of the season.
But
So-
of course, they've just left the box, so that's the reason why I can say that. So, absolutely fantastic. Good memories. I've retired now, actually, full-time commentator, so don't need to worry about that anymore. Last interview, we will have a chat with Samuel Buzan, and Sam, well done out there, 6th place in that race. Whilst you were running in the top 3, me and Marco were really rooting for you in the commentary box, but despite you falling down a little bit, you must be really pleased with that result.
Yeah, it's a really good result for me. I was hoping for a podium, but Johnny Nicol was way too fast for me.
Yeah, they are absolutely superb drivers. But how did you find the circuit out there? Is it a circuit that you've got much experience around?
I didn't really race this track before, but I really like the layout, especially this layout. We raced tonight, and I just made a free practice before the race because I'm pretty busy, for the moment. But yeah, I really enjoyed the race tonight, especially race 3.
Yeah, you were driving really well out there. Next up, we head to Bathurst. One that you look forward to? Is it a circuit that you enjoy?
Yeah, it's one of my favorite tracks. Probably the second one after Spa, of course. Yeah, I will be in the race in 2 weeks for Bathurst. Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be great to see you there. Before we let you go, Sam, anyone you'd like to thank?
Yeah, my teammates, our main sponsor, Isia, and also all the V8 admins who make this great series running, and you guys for your broadcasts. They are really, really enjoyable to watch.
Thank you very much, Sam, and we'll see you very soon.
Yeah, see you soon, mate.
Well, I think that pretty much rounds off all the interviews. And Marco, I think out of all the super sprints that we've ever covered in this series, that one really does stick in my mind quite a bit with the kind of troubles for many of the top drivers out there with the competitiveness of much of the midfield and the fantastic racing out there. I think Sonoma certainly want to visit soon in this series again.
Yes, hopefully with the same format, same race configuration, track configuration. It's absolutely great, and it was a tough day of racing for everyone here, and I think that these drivers really deserve some little bit of a break, and then they have to get back on the track for another very tough round in Bathurst. So exciting times ahead, like I said, and then the enduro, and then the final rounds of the season in Ulton Park and Snetterton. So we close the season very close to your home, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, nice. Hopefully one season we will end the year in Monza Junior with a triple header. Who knows? That would be
Maybe
something,
even, yeah, maybe even Vallelunga,
Uh,
perhaps. When
never
that
going
gets
to be
scanned.
scanned, but I'm having a lot of bad ideas today, giving a lot of bad ideas. The super sprint at Bathurst, the end of the season race at Monza Junior. I really need to stop. What doesn't stop, of course, is Apex Racing TV. We get the Sunday off, but starting from Monday, we are back with, of course, the MX5 Amateur series and the World GT series at the same time. The World GT, of course, being on the iRacing Esports network. Then on Tuesday, we have the first round. Of course, we have Rick Motek at night between Monday and Tuesday. On Tuesday, we have the Oceanic SOF race for the IMSA iRacing official series very early at 8:45 GMT. Then later in the day, we have the MX5 Pro Series on the iRacing Esports Network and the VRS GT Sprint making its debut on, on Apex Racing TV, so don't miss that. On Wednesday, of course, we are back with World F3 and the iRacing Le Mans series, and Thursday, it's time to get back to the usual great show of the BSRTC. And I think, of course, that VRS is Friday and not Tuesday, but I might be wrong. There is a nice picture that sums everything up on our Facebook page with all the races and all the days of the week. So refer to that and don't trust me. And of course, Saturday we will be back around lunchtime with the Sim Racers Asia from Watkins Glen. So certainly, Sam, a full week of racing ahead for us.
Absolutely, looking forward to it. And yeah, 2 weeks' time, of course, Bathurst. Kind of the jewel in the calendar, I think, for this series will be absolutely fantastic to see that. So, I think that rounds us off on tonight's fantastic action in the KSW Painting UV8 Supercar series. For me and for Marco as well, we'll say goodbye and we'll see you next time.